now that we've cleaned up the sculpts, let's go ahead and pose this. And again, I keep telling everyone you should really rename your stuff because this, there's a high chance that some of this stuff will. Okay, so for sure, this stuff, you have multiple things. I don't know why ZBrush allows you to rename things the same, but this will break at the end of Transpose Master. So I'm gonna go ahead and rename a bunch of stuff here. Pull out the head. Let's go down. Should probably have this as a hotkey. Eyes. What is this? Oh, okay, so random floating thing. So I think we can get rid of that. Okay, so we might as well get rid of everything that we're not going to see. So I'm going to Control Shift Alt. That'll turn this marquee section red, and then I can hide everything. So if we solo this, I basically hid everything above. We don't need these. That's just gonna eat into our poly count. Let's go ahead into geometry, modify topology, and I'll delete hidden there. And now we can get a solo mode, and we'll call this feet. Cloak, shirt, and maybe, oh, okay, we have a bunch of things here. I don't know what this is. Since we already have an arm, I'm going to go ahead and delete this. I'm going to call this, I'm going to put the arms down into the same, yeah, so this merges down. We don't need too many pieces here. Got hands, and then I'll merge this down to hands and hands. Arms. Just again, if you want to assign different things, different shaders in Arnold, I do recommend you split your model up into subtools. That will make your life a lot easier. You can just select that object in Maya and assign that a different material. It's a lot harder to get things to work if they're all attached together. And now that we've done that, we can go ahead and save this. Oops. And now we can go to Transpose Master. I'm a little worried that we're posing quite a bit here, but what I can do is just go to Transpose Master and just see how this goes. So I transpose that mesh, and now we have everything combined to one subtool for us here. And it should be fairly easy to just like Control Shift click on, if we do polyframes, like every subtool by itself is polymeshed or polygrouped, and then we can say Control Shift click on the head. I'm gonna hide the eyes here, so now I've isolated the head and the eyes. I'm gonna Control click off the model to mask everything. Control Shift click to bring everything back. So now everything but the head is masked, and I can freely rotate this however I want. Just to recap how to use this, I'll hold down the Alt key, hit this icon. See, it'll say go to unmasked mesh center. That will center it along the head. In here, we can go ahead and rotate the head. I think the idea was to have this look up, the cat look up, and let's go ahead and mask this out a little bit more. So I'm gonna hit Q to get out of this mode so I can see my cursor, and I'll mask this. If I need to, I can Control Shift click to isolate this to continue masking. I'm not going to lose the mask unless I deselect everything. And again, since we haven't Z-remesh, it's going to take a long time to get like a smooth transition, and now I can start posing this however I actually need to. I think some cleanup work again is always going to be necessary when you do stuff here. And then we can take this arm, let's mask out the other arm because I'm just focusing on the this right here. Actually, you know what? How is the best way? So we want to move it. Maybe I shouldn't have put these together. But that's actually not an issue. Just more ZBrush tips is that even though we're in this posing mode, there's never too late to polygroup. So I can polygroup, I can auto group here. So now I can go ahead and select this, or hide that. I'll hide this. So the reason why I'm doing all this is, as opposed to say activating the transform tool, Control Shift clicking here, is that unfortunately, for the head that works, I can always just hit Control Alt and deselect the eyes, and I can move the head around it or do whatever I need there. But for the arm, it gets a little bit more complicated because it's harder to select things in general. So let's just go back to that exact technique I was doing, where I would hide basically. Let's go back, auto group this. I will hide what I want to rotate or pose. In this case, is those two subtools. I will mask everything by control clicking on outside of the sculpt, and then I'll invert that selection. Oops, I'll unhide. I'll Control Shift click outside of the model. That will unhide everything, and then oops, we can mask that out. And now I can freely rotate or do what I need to do here. So this is going to be pretty easy again. Let's center it. Hold down Alt, center it. I can reset the pivot here so I don't have the transforms from the neck. Maybe I'll move this up here. And we can rotate the arm. So I'm not sure what this is looking a little bit bizarre. So I think what I'm going to do is I'll do like a 45-degree rotation. The upper arm and lower arm will and then I'm going to Control Shift click on the hands. I'll mask the other hand, and then I'll move this pivot. Hold on Alt, reposition this, reset this pivot. And then I think this will be my pose here. And after this, obviously we need to do some cleanup on everything else in the sculpt here to get this to work correctly. And maybe what we could do is let's go back here. I'm going to auto group this again so I can split those gloves off, and then I can hide these two, and maybe even this, and then I can invert or mask everything, invert that, and I'm just going to use these same techniques over and over, basically. It might help to raise this a little bit. I can then say do the same thing here. Oops. Here, mask, invert. And I think I actually don't like that. I don't like this positioning. Well, we could always just rotate this too as well. This really depends on how you want to present. Like, what is your pose in relationship to your environments? I'm going to have it fairly straight, maybe tilted a little bit this way, as if it's pointing to whatever direction the cat is looking in. And then we can unhide. I can unhide all of that, and then I'll resolve everything else in the sculpt itself. I could still move things around here. Right. I mean, well, I could even just sculpt in here because the subdivisions, we don't have subdivisions, and whether I handle it here or later is kind of the same thing. But let's say we're done, and I want to translate this, or let's make it a little bit more complicated. I can go back to say here, just hide that, let's hide this. I'll mask this, bring back my polygroups, and then I'm going to rotate, just to make the pose a little bit more interesting here. Here I can invert this, maybe move, oh crap. Let's do this, where I Control Shift click on, okay, let's just do it over. Straight leg poses will never be terribly interesting, so I'm going to break all that. My cat is hungry, so you'll probably be hearing her in this video. Something like that. And if we really wanted to make it more interesting too, if we could thrust the shoulder back, or offset the arm positioning here. I can take this again, have it rotate along with the direction that I put the cloak in, like this. Maybe even, I have no idea what the hand should be doing. Let's take this back to mask pen. Like there's that question of, do I just keep blurring it, and then do I take it here, here. Having a straight line is always going to be a little bit off-putting for me, so I'm going to, I think I'll curl it in a little bit this way. And you know what? I think I can handle everything else outside of Transpose Master. So again, Transpose Master, you just get this one handy subtool here. My system is actually handling posing 2.29 points fairly easily, but yours may not. If yours is not, again, you should really duplicate the remesh project and all that. And then we will go back down to Transpose Master and finalize this by hitting T pose to sub T. I forgot to put it on a layer, but at this point I think I'm committing to this as like an illustration piece, so I'm not going to stress that too much. And then we can adjust things however we need to. Maybe this also means moving this forward. I don't like how silhouette-wise the collar is like blending with the shirt. So maybe I'll just raise this up here. There we go. I'm gonna take these gloves. We'll kind of adjust it to fit the arm again. You know, it's things are looking kind of rough and lumpy, so I do recommend doing a cleanup pass on everything. For the hands, like having the mitten hands is fine and all, but we need a little bit more indication so that people know that it's a hand. Like shape wise, like what is happening? Is there like you could suggest the finger? Just take the Damien standard. Also, I'm assuming like a cat person would have some sort of opposable thumb. So maybe at least having like the thumb would help. We can dynamesh this if though that's not on. So let's turn it on. Having some sort of indication of either a paw or a palm even, I think would help greatly. And let's push this away from this blocky geometric shape. Have it a little bit more organic. I'm just gonna sculpt across the form, get rid of these lines. And then I'll adjust the sleeve to make it look like it's fitting into. So let's go back and hide the cloak here. You might want to dynamesh this higher res because it's compared to everything else, it's the lowest res thing, but it's also the largest area. So I would go ahead and again just a polish pass on everything is going to help. And then here, that would mean this has to fit the body a little bit more. And I'm going to turn, local symmetry is on, but why is this? Okay, it's working now. It's hard for me to not adjust these things that I see, even though they're all hidden. But again, let's adjust this so that it looks more natural, looks more organic. Okay, so there's some funky business happening here. Probably just need to dynamesh this again. Okay, so me adjusting all that has made this little. I think we've reduced the poles to get it to fit with the glove. So if I just make my life easier, I'm going to merge the arms to the hands, and then we'll just mask out what I don't need, and then I'm going to move all this again. do like actually that direction of the the cloak. You could even suggest a little bit more movement too. I think that's kind of cool. Here, just like this, like like we caught this pose in, or we caught this cat creature mid pose, and things are moving around, and I actually think that's gonna be a lot more interesting to look at than like a flat, just like a flat look. Since I raised that arm, I think I had to adjust some of these folds to actually work a little bit better. And we could even, I think just pulling it in so it's a little less, looks a little less like we're just trying to mask the model here. I think that's going to help here. Yeah, there's nothing complicated about what I'm doing. I'm just using the move tool, big brushes, even Damien standard here, big brush. Rotate around, make sure things work from multiple angles. Damien standard, high, big brush, fairly low intensity, and just kind of go around and sharpen up these folds here. I think kind of split this off here so I'll just overlap a little bit better. I guess this is also kind of turning into a bit of a fabric sculpting demo as well, but that might help some of you. I think at some point in the future I want to do like a translating the concept of the 7 types of folds in fabric, like fabric drawing, and turn that into 3D. And maybe design a few exercises in ZBrush to kind of really reinforce the concept of sculpting cloth. And I don't want you all to resort to Marvelous just because you have a hard time sculpting cloth. Marvelous is great, but is not appropriate for every situation. Okay, so this could also use some more work, but that's okay. I'm just gonna move things around, and I think we're almost done here. Let's take a look at what's happening. Maybe I'll push this corner because I like that curl, and that just means we need to reduce the thickness inside so this doesn't look like a piece of styrofoam or anything like that. Here, adjust this so that we don't see these little dimples from the other side. Make sure that I'm not sculpting or pushing it too close to the opposite end. And yeah, there we go. This is kind of a quick demo of just using Transpose Master and masking and moving to get the pose, and then the kind of sculpting cleanup work that I would do afterwards. I mean, there's so much that I could do with this sleeve here to um, really trying to sell these compression things and or these have everything compress, push up against each other, overlap, all the same techniques from drawing are translating over here as well. And yeah, we could actually spend a lot of time just sculpting it out this way, but yeah, this is how I would approach it. I hope that helps.